Now, if you're a piano teacher, no doubt you're going to know this tune pretty well. It's one of the most popular in the repertoire. It's the Burgmuller Ballade in C minor, Opus 100, number 5. And in today's video, I want to go through some teaching tips with you about how I go about teaching some of the technical challenges in this piece and why I love it generally. You know, it's just such a fun work. Now, as part of this, I'm going to give away my annotated copy of this score, which looks a little bit like this. You'll get all my writing, my tips, things to watch out for, and also I'm going to be giving you that you can share with your student all the general knowledge you need for this piece. So if you're participating in some kind of exam with your student and they need to know the background of the piece, the period of history, what the signs and things mean in the piece, then this is going to be a great reference for you. So you can grab these two in a link below in the description. Okay, so why do I love this piece so much? Well, it's just got a great story that could be told with it. And I love encouraging students to come up with a story about a piece of music like this. Now, I have heard this one called Ballade, obviously, Study in C minor, but also Smugglers. And I can't remember what edition had that name or who gave it the name, but I do love it because to me, this piece is all about, I'm picturing some robbers on the docks. It's dark and they're kind of sneaking around. And here, spotlight shines on them. And then they start running around again, etc. Okay, so that opening, it's so evocative of sort of James Bondy kind of spies that are running around and darkness and things like that. So I think that's great. In the middle section where we're in the tonic major, maybe it's the robbers, dreaming about the future when they get their loot or they find the treasure, whatever it is, and they're dreaming of sitting on the beach. Something like that, but then they realize it's actually back to reality and it's starting to rain and they've got to run around again or whatever it is. Come up with stories like this with your student and they will enjoy it more and they will play it much better too. So that's the first thing. Now, technically, there's a few challenges in this piece. Obviously, the coordination between the two hands is quite challenging. You've got this semi-quaver pattern in the left hand. So for this one, I tend to teach when you've got running passages with lots of different notes. I tend to teach in rhythm, so I teach this style. And so I've got a whole sheet of all the different rhythms that I use when I teach passages like this in the description below, so you can check that out as well. So using rhythms is important. And then if they're having trouble coordinating the two hands, just tapping to get rid of the complexity of playing the chord can be good. And if they're having trouble making that chord nice and light, then just getting them to just bounce in the keys without really making a big movement is going to be important there too. And even if if this is really heavy and you're kind of hearing chord, then just getting them to ghost, which is what I call just playing on the top of the keys. And then just slowly add a little bit more weight to get that nice balance in the touch. We've got really important to consider the crescendo passages, the decrescendo, the dynamics generally, I think really makes this piece. So do watch out for them, and I've marked that up in my score as well. I think after the arpeggios, I definitely use some pedal here as well. So you'll see that marked in the score. Pedal, 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 pedal. And then a little pause before. Again, to get the balance here, just having students ghost and making sure that students really play and feel the phrasing here, that it's growing and it's just descending then after that. And I've adjusted slightly the slurring and phrasing marks in the score that you'll be able to download. Towards the end, end of the B section, I find after this bit, what am I doing? I find here often students will play this way too fast, so just get them to count out loud. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And I would always there do a diminuendo and a rallentando, even if that's not marked in the score. A little bit of a slowdown, and then a tempo as you get back into the C major passage. Make sure your students know what all the terms mean. SF, dolce in the B section, misterioso. I mean, what a great descriptive title for this piece. The other challenge is the coda. It's one of the hardest bits in the piece, where you've got to do the passage of the left hand in both hands at the same time while decrescendoing. That's tricky. So again, using rhythms, playing a couple of octaves apart. Also crossing hands can be a great way to practice that. So rhythms, crossing hands, or separating the hands a little bit more can really help them get into sync. And another tactic that I've used on this piece before is just playing the quaver pulse notes in that section. Sounds a bit weird, but can sometimes help. And then you could add, or you could go. So just breaking it up in different ways can really help students just build that up as they're actually learning. And then the last kind of chords, nice, and then a nice strong finish with a nice subtle wrist, and then coming off. And I definitely do some pedal at the end there as well. And then making sure the students just pause for a moment, because there is that pause over the last quaver rest before they take their hands off the keys. So making sure that they understand the keys of this is important too. We're in C minor. What's the raised seventh of C minor? Can be a real trick question that students can be given. Of course, it's B natural. It's not a sharp in the case of this. Making sure they know the sharp, flat, and natural signs. All the rests as well. And also the keys too. We're in C minor. The B section, you more commonly, probably in music at this level, composers would go to the relative minor, but in this case, they've gone to the tonic major from the minor, which is a great modulation, and just opens up. It's just like the sun suddenly shines in that section. So that can be part of the story that the students might build into their narrative for the piece of music. And that's it. So I hope you enjoy teaching this piece. I hope that's helpful. As I said, if you would like the annotated copy of the score that I've created and also the general knowledge notes, then just have a look down below the video in the description and we'll have a link there for you. And if you've got any questions at all about the Burgmuller Ballade, and if you've taught it and have some tips of your own, then please leave a comment below. Just before you go, guys, I want to make sure you're aware of Piano Pivot Live. It's my first ever Piano Teachers Conference, and it's being held 23rd and 24th of January right here in my hometown of Melbourne. Beautiful weather in summer, of course. If you want to find out more about it, head to timtopham.com/conference. It's going to be an incredible experience, and I can't wait to welcome you to Melbourne. See you then.